This has been a strange crypto cycle. Ethereum didn't even hit a new all-time high. It did not go above $5,000, while Bitcoin did go above 100K. Now the big question is, how much lower can Ethereum fall? Does it make sense to potentially buy the bottom now or sell it all off? In this video, we're going to look at data most people are not considering. Now, here's what everybody is looking at. It's the Ethereum price over the cycles, and unfortunately, we did not see a new all-time high. November 2021, a bit below $5,000. Is still the absolute maximum point for Ethereum. This is very different to Bitcoin. Bitcoin did see another high, an increase over the November 2021 high of more than 50%. And now everything trends to tend down again. But the question is, maybe Ethereum is already oversold, at least relatively speaking in the rest of all of crypto. I'm not saying that US dollar prices have to come up, but have a look at Ethereum's performance since the move from proof of work to proof of stake. That technical transition had been a disaster for Ethereum. Ethereum underperformed Bitcoin since that move by more than 70%. Now, what happened here? Why did it underperform? The whole story around the merge, around the move from proof of work to proof of stake, is that the tokenomics of Ethereum improved, as in the supply-demand dynamics should improve, thus the price should outperform the rest. This is of course not what happened, and it has to do with the usage of the Ethereum chain. Here was the big story. With the move from proof of work to proof of stake, Ethereum became ultra sound money. Now, what is sound money? Sound money is simply like gold, right? It's hard money, a form of value storage that doesn't really expand much in supply. Ultra sound money then means that the supply even shrinks over time. And initially that was true. So 2 years and 177 days ago, the merge happened. And initially Ethereum supply did go down. Now, why did it go down? It went down because Ethereum was used. The chain itself was used. And with every Ethereum transaction, you're burning some ETH supply. So there are two effects here that have an impact on Ethereum supply. On the one hand, we've got the usage, right? The more it's used, the more it's burned. But then also we've got the minting of ETH tokens over time. So the stakers of Ethereum, because Ethereum is now proof of stake, the stakers also need to get rewarded. And when there's a lot of staking rewards, but not a lot of usage, that means that the supply expands. And that is what we are seeing since April of 2024. The Ethereum burning isn't strong enough and the supply expands. If the last month is representative of that expansion, it's at 0.7% annualized. That is pretty much the same inflation rate that Bitcoin has. And that's a problem, right? When the tokenomics are the same as for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has much more adoption, it's got also much more demand through the Bitcoin ETFs, then why buy Ethereum? Ethereum is not really used that much on chain because it's comparatively expensive, at least during very busy times. And as a store of value, it competes with Bitcoin, where it has to lose. So both for smart contract execution, it's too expensive, and for store of value, it's not really great. It's neither fish nor meat. It's something in between, and it doesn't really position itself within a distinct market niche. But yeah, we've seen already how Ethereum underperformed Bitcoin since the move from proof of work to proof of stake. But at some point, the asset might be oversold, right? Because have a look at this. This is the Ethereum dominance. How much of all of crypto is in Ethereum? And it tends to trend between 7% and 21%. The merge happened in September of 2022. Since then, we went south. But the question is, how much lower can we go? Can we potentially even bounce here? Because in September of 2019 and in January of 2020, we bounced quite significantly. And when the market went more risk on again, Ethereum outperformed the rest of the market by quite a bit, by 200%. The big question in the end is, will Ethereum prevail? Or will something take the spot of ETH? The current momentum is clearly bearish, but it seems like the long-term holders, the long-term believers in Ethereum, they have stopped selling. Because have a look at this chart here. This shows the staked Ethereum over time. How how much Ethereum is basically locked up and held for long-term investment purposes. We did see quite a bit of adoption of ETH staking, and then that stopped in Q4 of last year. Ethereum started to get unstaked, people tended to sell, but now in the last few weeks, if we zoom in a bit further, in the last few weeks, there is no more selling pressure. So it seems like the staking itself has stopped, but also the selling has stopped. This is now a balanced market. Let's have a look at a few usage statistics. Let's have a look at where Ethereum is now headed. How many active addresses are there? How many transactions are being made? How expensive is it to use Ethereum? Let's zoom out a bit. What we've got over here is the transactions on the Ethereum chain. So that's a 7-day moving average. And it looks like we are pretty much balanced, as in there is no growth. There is no shrinkage, and that's for the last 4.5 years. Here we've got the number of active addresses. It's a very similar picture to the number of transactions. And here's the number of new addresses. Now this stopped growing a bit earlier, even in March of 2020, so 5 years ago. Now how can we measure the relevance of the Ethereum network? One way is to just look at how much capital has been moved. Now what's very important is that that metric fluctuates a lot, because when prices are high, then of course also a lot of money gets moved. But also what tends to happen is whenever prices rise, the trading activity also tends to rise. And that's then how we get something like this. That's Ethereum's on-chain volume in US dollars, and this spiked up to 20 billion on a 7-day moving average to then come crashing down to 200 million. So it fell by 99%. Then we recovered, then we crashed again, and now we are hovering somewhere between 7 billion and 2.5 billion. Now, why did the number of transactions and the number of active addresses on Ethereum not grow anymore? Why are we going sideways in the last 3 to 4 years? I believe a lot of this has to do with this chart here. This is the average transaction fee on Ethereum. And yes, we already knew in 2018 that Ethereum has its scaling limits, but at that time still the average transaction fee was only around $3. The second run up, when Bitcoin hit 60 to 70K, that's when Ethereum got painfully expensive, where a single transaction on average was $50. Things aren't that brutal anymore because the more complex DeFi protocols now move to layer 2s, and there's also less NFT trading. And right now, where nobody wants Ethereum, transaction fees are comparatively cheap, but the price hike in the transaction fees is still in the collective mind, and that's why I believe most of the Memecoin trading in the cycle happened on Solana and on the base chain, not anymore directly on Ethereum. Yes, when there's no activity, Ethereum is very cheap, but that's not when Memecoin trading happens, right? Memecoin trading happens during hype times, and then things are expensive, and then nobody wants to use ETH. My impression really is that the move from proof of work to proof of stake was the ideal setup for the whales to exit the ecosystem and to find the next Ethereum, or to potentially just allocate towards Bitcoin. With the active mining of Ethereum, Ethereum had a constant base of new adopters, because if you simply just had a GPU, you could mine ETH and get some money on the side. With the move from proof of work to proof of stake, that has changed. So again, that happened in September of 2022. So over here. And since then, the number of Ethereum addresses that have more than 10,000 ETH tends to go down. So the whales have pretty much already exited. And of course, as so often, retail is a bit slower. So they are also now exiting, but they started in January of 2023. So that's now the number of wallets that have more than 1 ETH. The long-term trends really don't look that pretty across the board. The larger the Ethereum holding, the more consistent the selling. But still, does it make sense now to buy this bottom, since Ethereum dominance is already that low? One might make the argument that the potential risk of maybe an additional underperformance of 17% versus the potential reward of 134% is now very much speaking for a purchase of ETH. But here's my counter argument to this. I always think it makes sense to buy when most people are in losses, when most people capitulate. What we see over here is the percentage of ETH supply that is in profit. And this tended to turn around historically when we were at roughly 25%. We are not there yet. Still, more than half of Ethereum supply is in profit. It's very hard to believe, but it's true. The majority of Ethereum holders still have a green number in their account overview. And so I think there is still more pain ahead. I have been bearish on Ethereum for a very, very long time. Feel free to check out prior videos on this channel. And even though I get these comments regularly on this video that this is the most bearish channel in all of crypto, I think I'm objective. I talk about when I buy, I talk about when I sell, and I'm not always selling, right? I'm simply just selling when I think that an asset doesn't perform that well or when an asset is very heated. Right now, the momentum around Ethereum is still very bearish, and I believe the market hasn't yet suffered enough. There's still too much supply of Ethereum that is in profit. If you appreciate that this is not just another moon boy and shilling channel, then feel free to subscribe over here, right? I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. If you want to know how I currently make money in this market, I mainly short altcoins. I bet on falling prices of altcoins. If you want to know what kind of trades I make and how I make them and how I do my risk management, etc., then feel free to check out the premium membership down below. It's thebitcoinstrader.com. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, just message me within the first 7 days and I'll refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. So looking forward to seeing you again in YouTube or potentially in premium. Cheers.